be sure and ask me about the throat remedies we know of.
Oh, yes.
That is the best throat remedy story ever.
I think you also had a really good story about taking medication to feel less congested. Isn't that a good story? They told you, they gave you some kind of prescription for something that got you all hopped up.
Oh my God, there's that one too. Yeah. That one and the 2 raw eggs. Be sure to tell both of those.
That is disgusting.
Welcome to Speaking of Talking. Hi, I'm Jenni Steck, voice and speech coach and total voice nerd, here to explore all the ways our voices shape how we connect, lead, and show up in the world. Each week, we'll chat with inspiring leaders, speakers, and experts from all kinds of industries, people who use their voices to move audiences, rally teams, and make an impact. From polished political speeches to spontaneous sideline interviews, we'll break down what works, what doesn't, and why it matters. At Jenni Steck Voice and Speech, we've spent the last decade coaching Fortune 500 executives, broadcasters from CNN, ESPN, CBS News, ABC News, and even prepping Hall of Fame speeches for the NFL and Major League Baseball. And now, I get to bring those conversations and insights straight to you. So if you love talking about talking, you're in the right place. And be sure to subscribe to Speaking of Talking wherever you get your podcasts so you don't miss an episode. And check the show notes for helpful tips and tools. I'm so glad you're here. Let's get talking. Today's conversation is one I've been really looking forward to sharing with you. My guest is my good friend, David Marquis, performer, writer, activist, and someone who has spent a lifetime using his voice to move audiences, change minds, and tell stories that matter. If you've ever wondered what it really takes to use your voice for a living, night after night, city after city, year after year, this episode is for you. We talk about the reality of touring one-man shows, the physical and emotional wear and tear that comes with that, and the discipline required to protect your voice when the show must go on. David shares how a single speech teacher changed the course of his life, the lessons he learned performing his one-man show, I Am a Teacher, across the country, and the techniques he developed to manage nerves, conserve energy, and stay connected to an audience. And you guys, he is a great storyteller. You're going to hear what happened when he lost sound mid-performance. You're going to hear about a throat remedy that you will never forget because it's disgusting, as well as some deeply honest reflections on what happens when your voice changes and your identity has to shift with it. This is a conversation about voice, body, purpose, and impact, and why even when it's hard, live connection still matters. I'm so glad you're here for it. Let's get talking.
There are so many roles that you play in your life, throughout your life. I should probably let you introduce yourself because I will do a terrible job. Performer, activist, writer, savior of the world,
Yep.
all the above.
Okay.
Tell us a little bit about you and all these different hats you wear.
I had a great high school speech teacher, mainly Little Porter. And growing up, I was an athlete. I didn't especially want to be on stage or take a speech class or any of that kind of thing. But my mother came to see me make a speech when I was running for student body president of J.T. Hutchinson Junior High School in Lubbock, Texas. And that was horrible. I literally felt my knees shake standing behind the microphone, and I didn't win. And it was a profound moment in my life because up until that point in time, I'd always been able to do pretty much whatever I set my mind to. So mom and dad said, next year you're going to take speech. So I took speech, and Mr. Parks, ninth grade speech. I didn't like it. I hated it. But I got up one day in front of the class. It's supposed to be a speech to entertain. And I totally forgot what I'd written. Totally forgot the outline. So I winged it. And my classmates started laughing. But they weren't laughing at me. They were laughing with me. For the first time in my life, being in front of other people was a good experience. And so I thought at that moment, hey, this is okay. And I think I like this. And was in a play in ninth grade year. That went well. Still didn't want to be in speech. So started out as an athlete in high school, but knew pretty quickly, really in my heart, that that was not my calling. That's where Mamie Porter came in. She was a speech teacher at Lubbock High, and she was so smart. She was years ahead of her time in affective education, and we were trying to teach the whole student. So she let me sit in the back of the class and just observe. Didn't put any pressure on me at all. And I saw the other kids enjoying themselves, and I thought, well, I'll give this a try. So I did, and I did well. So then Mamie said, well, would you like to go to a speech tournament someday? We go to El Paso, we go to Lubbock, we go to Austin, we go to Dallas, we go all over these places. I said, sure, I'll give it a try. And I won the tournament, extemporaneous speech. And that really set me down this path. And then when I was 16, Mamie sat me down and said, I think you have something to say to the world. And if you want to learn how to write and perform, I will teach you. I will help you. Just straight out, look me right in the eye. 16, changed my life. And I really became involved in writing and performing, even in high school, writing my own stuff, performing speech tournaments that I won over and over again. Then got elected junior class president, senior class president. I started winning those elections because of my ability to speak. When I played the Kennedy Center in 1989, 20 years after I graduated high school, with my I'm a Teacher one-man show, we flew Mamie to Washington, brought her up on stage at the Kennedy Center at the end of my show. And there was not a dry eye in the house. And I dedicated the show to her because she changed my life. So there's the story of how I got from there to the point of being able to speak all over the country, playing Broadway, touring 41 of the 50 states, playing some of the greatest venues in the world. And at the same time, being an activist, started out in the civil rights movement, anti-Vietnam War movement, and then just being involved with the environmental movement or a variety of different things throughout my life. It all goes back to my mom and dad making me take a speech class. And really, it began with a failure. I failed. Learned from class president in 8th grade. But Mamie made sure I succeeded. Since then, activist, writer, a performer. That's what I've done throughout my life. I made a living doing it. But that's that story.
And that's rare, right? You didn't have to have that second side hustle.
Now, I taught school when I first got out of Austin College. I had a great experience teaching school, except for the fact that the superintendent of the Plano Independent School District didn't care for a few things. One was my independence. I wrote my own curriculum, which the students loved. Was very much a free spirit in the classroom. I also had a student removed from my class in ninth grade because I spent, in her parents' regard, in their opinion, I spent too much time talking about the civil rights movement and Dr. King. So they removed her from my classroom. I got in trouble over the length of my hair and my beard. So I'd written a curriculum, a specific curriculum called American Studies, in which we studied American culture through art and dance and music and literature and history and everything you can imagine. The Plano School District told me they would never allow me to teach that again. I had to march to the beat of the same drummer as everybody else. So I said, I tell you what, I'm not interested in being just another teacher. If I can't be an excellent teacher and teach to the highest of my ability, I'll see you around. 50 years later, those students from that class and all my other classes, 50 years later, still stay in touch with me. They come to see me perform. They email me. They call me on the phone. They ask me for help with things. So I just went on and became a teacher in many other ways. And one of those ways was doing a one-man show called I'm a Teacher all over the country, every venue you can imagine. We estimate that 500,000 people saw it play live, touched many, many lives, became the basis for the I'm a Teacher book, a photojournal essay published by Simon & Schuster. That became the basis for the most successful ad campaign in the history of the Ad Council in recruiting new teachers. So, activist, writer, performer, and teacher. I'm proud of all of them.
So tell me about the one-man show part of your life. We have talked a lot about how wear and tear, the kind of wear and tear that you get when you're traveling around the country. But not only are you traveling, you are also then having to have your voice in shape to do a show. How many shows were you doing a week?
Oh, sometimes I was doing 6 or 7 shows a week.
Would that
What-
be all in one location or were you
That many shows in a week was normally like when I was in New York.
okay?
Like in 2003, my show Down the Long Road, which was 7 shows a week. In 2003, we were only 18 months past 9/11. So theater audiences were, still slow coming back. So we decided to start through a Wednesday matinee. We did Tuesday night, Wednesday night, Thursday night, Friday night, Saturday matinee, Saturday night, Sunday matinee. And boy, by the time you get to that last show, you are beat. And of course, if you're tired, your voice is tired. Let's remember that voice is it's at the intersection of everything. It's where you breathe, it's where you eat, it's where you speak. It's a lot of wear and tear on that voice. So I learned to do some specific things. And one thing I would encourage everybody to do is every now and then just be quiet. Our world does not allow us to be quiet much anymore. Whether you're texting or talking or doing both at the same time, if you're talking, like in a restaurant these days, restaurants are no longer quiet. They're just no longer quiet. And I'm 74 now. And the thing I miss most about my boyhood and my youth is silence and the opportunity to be quiet, because the world is not a quiet place anymore. Maybe if you're in your car driving down the highway and you turn the sound off, maybe then. But we just don't allow much silence anymore. I encourage people to be silent at least once a day. Find a period of silence where you're not using your voice for a period of time. I think that's a healthy thing to do. I think it's healthy for your brain and your body as well as your voice. And for me, doing that many shows a week back in the day, that was a challenge. Even if you're staying in the same place, but if you're on the road and you do a show and then you go to your hotel room and you try to find something to eat that you can digest before you go to bed 30 minutes later, get up the next morning at crack of dawn, catch a plane and go somewhere else and do the same thing over again. And I did that for almost 25 years. Played great venues, had a tremendous run, had sponsors like IBM and Kodak and Bank of America, had tremendous impact on audiences, but you pay a price for it. And part of that price is the wear and tear on the voice and on the body. But that's what I did. And had the chance to really have impact while I was out there doing that.
As a voice therapist person, the kinds of dangers I usually talk to people about if they're going to be traveling a lot and also then relying on their voice, whether it's a journalist or even a business person traveling to meet new clients, give presentations, is the dehydration piece of it can be really damaging. And, on long flights, sometimes people don't want to drink water because then they might have to go to the bathroom. But in the airplane, in the hotel, those places, the air is just so dry. And depending on where you go in the country, you might be dealing with allergies, or it's a very dry place like Arizona. How did you manage that? And hey, you're an actor, so was there a tendency to want to drink while you're, enjoy some of it while you're out and about? How did you manage the fun part and the dehydration part and the acting part?
Fun part? Was there a fun part? When you're on the road night after night, day after day, I'm not sure there's any fun. It's a lot of work.
It's lonely, I would imagine.
Extremely lonely. God, if you're doing a one-man show, travel around, loneliness was the biggest enemy. For a period of time, I traveled with a little card in my wallet with the phone numbers of people in every time zone in the country. So no matter where I was, I could call somebody without waking them up and have a conversation. Of course, and you also had this little calling card thing so that because there were no cell phones in those days, so you have a conversation with somebody on a hotel phone without paying the hotel phone rates.
Oh, right.
There's a little calling card that you punched in this little number and charged it to your home phone. So you skip the hotel rate. So man, you take me back in time. So at any rate, back to your question. On airplanes, back in those days, people didn't carry bottles of water. but you could sip on, sometimes they actually have just the hot water they could bring you. You could drop a little decaf tea bag in there and just sip on the decaf tea as you flew. And my theory has always been you don't have to consume a lot of water, but consume it regularly. So if you stay hydrated, you don't have to do kind of massive hydration at any one point. You just stay hydrated. Some people I knew would carry little devices like vocal mist, although in those days those weren't very common. Some people would carry a spray bottle, carry something like Pretz, an herbal nose spray that's non-medicated. So do as many things as you can to stay hydrated so you don't ever get dehydrated. And that means you time, well, like if you have an airport lunch, just drink water with no ice. Don't do caffeinated drinks, coffee. Just drink a glass of water with no ice. And it was the most exciting lifestyle. But like you said, do you ever have fun? Do you ever go to a hotel bar? Let me tell you, when you're on the road by yourself, a hotel bar is actually the loneliest place in the world. Plus, if you're drinking wine, any alcohol is going to dehydrate you. So you have to acknowledge that you've chosen a way to live, which is not going to be as much fun as going out with the pals on Friday afternoon.
Different fun.
Well, different fun. But the fun comes when you're doing something you love to do. If you love to walk out in front of an audience and you can do that and make a living doing it and get paid to do that, that's incredibly rewarding, but also incredibly hard. But there were things I would do. Sometimes you go turn on the shower in the hotel bathroom, let the hot water run, hydrate yourself that way.
Breathe in the steam.
Breathe in the steam. Steam's a great thing to hydrate the voice. Just keep that water going. And there was a period of time, Jenni, when for probably over 20 years, I didn't eat a potato chip, a French fry. I lived like a Spartan.
Wow.
Because I was a performing machine. That's what my life was as a performer. And if you walk out on stage in front of 1,000 people for 90 minutes, you better be in shape.
Did you have an intermission in your show?
Sometimes. Even then, you go backstage, you've got, a few minutes, and then go back out. But that was the only time my voice would get to rest, is during intermission. I also learned to take long pauses on stage. And it's all about being a star, and stars shine, stars shine to the audience. Put all this energy out there. I developed a technique called being a black hole. You stand on stage and look at the audience, and you have to time this to the right time of your script, a really powerful scene. And you absorb the energy of the audience. You pull that energy toward you. So you're not constantly giving. Sometimes you're standing still and receiving the audience's energy because you've just done something and moved them deeply and made them laugh. And you can take that long pause. When you do, you really, really relax the throat. You have to keep a relaxed throat all the time. When you're performing as much as possible, but when you stand still and look into the audience and maintain their energy and their attention, then you could soak up that energy. While you do, you can let that voice completely relax, can swallow, can breathe. So that's a technique that I developed also, is the ability to take a long pause and not only not lose the audience, but get the audience to pay even more attention. What's he going to do next? What's coming now? So I developed some stage techniques to deal with that also.
Did you find that because you were performing almost daily, maybe you didn't need to warm up as much? I mean, did you feel like you were constantly in a state of already being warmed up? Did you still do warm-ups and even cool downs to maintain?
I did. I found a variety of different levels. One for the beginning of a tour, one for partway through a tour, one for the end of the tour. So wherever my voice was, I had some specific way to deal with the voice in whatever state I found it in that day. The ability to do that often revolved around how much energy I had that day. If a flight got in late, and then you get to the hotel late, no more room service. What time did you wake up? What time is the show? What time is the tech rehearsal? So you have to gain that flexibility to be able to plug in whatever you need for that day in that circumstance. And that was really critical to what I did. Because if you have the full amount of time to get a good night's sleep the night before, have a full breakfast, catch a flight, get there to do tech rehearsal, have a few hours off before the show, that's a whole different deal than the plane being 2 hours late. And you get there 10 minutes before the show starts. and you've got to change in the costume. You've got to have a 30-second tech rehearsal and get out there. So you just have to learn to adapt to each situation. But what I tried to do in each case was gauge my energy level and gauge how much I needed to warm up that day. Sometimes when I warm up, if I was really exhausted, I'd just sit in a chair and just completely relax and do maybe a minute of warm up. Whereas if I've got a lot of energy, it's a big audience, I'm going to go do a full throated, literally, set of vocal exercises to go out and hit that. And also, what's the venue? Are you talking to 1,500 people in a convention center? Or have you got a beautiful small theater with 250 people in it? You've got to adapt to all those circumstances. One time I was in Illinois to do a show in a convention center, 1,500 people. And I'm very glad I've got some old-fashioned stage training. Because, over the years, they developed wireless microphones and things that really, really boosted. But I walk in this place one day, and the tech director comes, and I think, man, is he wobbly or what's going on? I don't think he was hungover. I think he was still drunk from the night before. And I always ask him, new batteries? Did you put new batteries in the battery pack? And this guy's, oh, you're good to go. So I'm in that too, and sound goes dead. I mean,
Oh my God.
dead. And I'm thankful for that old stage training from years before. I filled that room and carried the rest of the show. And then afterwards, I found that guy's boss. I looked through that convention center to find the head guy and said, your tech director was drunk today. He didn't change those batteries. And I gave that guy hell. He deserved to get hell. Show up drunk for a show? No, thanks. So yeah, that kind of thing happens on the road.
So, what would you do if you would get sick on the road? I mean, you're out there by yourself. Who's running to get your medicine? I don't know. You get sick when you're on the road. It's not like.
Jenni, you're a pro. The show goes on. What are you talking about?
That's right. You're not going to cancel a show.
No, you do the show. You gear up and do the show. I've been on stage with a fever of 102 degrees.
Oh my God.
I've been on stage with a pinched nerve in my leg. I'll tell you a couple of great stories. So I'm in Missouri doing the show. I'm a teacher show for the Missouri Association of School Boards. It's just a beautiful venue, right? It's this huge kind of nature area, but it's a really nice venue. And I'm backstage. I've been on tour for a while. After the show, I get to go home for a few days. So I'm lying backstage. It's a Sunday afternoon. It's the end of a conference for them. And I'm beat. Oh, I'm beat. My back's killing me. My knee hurts. I'm lying down on the floor of the dressing room, just trying to conserve energy, where I've got left. They're going to get it that day. But I'm lying back there thinking, I'd rather be anywhere in the world than here right now. And then the West Texas work ethic kicks in. Like, get up off the floor, boy, and get your hind end out there, do this show. So, what do you go do the show? So I get up and I go out there. And I'm a teacher show, had a real emotional impact, and I wrote it and structured the show to really have a big close every time. But during the course of the play, this one guy who sat in the second row so I could see him, throughout the show, this kind of middle-aged guy, wore glasses, and he wept through the whole show.
Oh my gosh.
I mean, took his glasses off, wiped his glasses, wiped his eyes, wept through the whole show. So big ovation. I walked off stage thinking, this is worth it. My body's killing me, but it was worth it. Now I get to go home. So I pack up the dressing room, which is, ritual, packing up the dressing room 1,000 times. And they're taking me back to the airport. So we're walking across the parking lot, and this car pulls up. And that man gets out of the car. The guy who cried all the way through the show. The guy in his car, he walked over to me and said, David, I'm a superintendent here in Missouri. Now I know my teachers face a lot of obstacles, and now I know I'm their biggest obstacle.
Oh, wow. That gave me chills.
And 6 months later, he had me come do the show for your school district.
Wow.
And some teachers came up to me before the show and said, we're not sure what happened that day, but this is a better school district now after he saw your play.
Wow.
So for those times where you're backstage and you're thinking, God, I don't want to be here. I got nothing. I got nothing today. And then you scrape yourself up off the floor and go do the show. And that happens. It reminds you of why you went there in the first place. So, and then another one. This is a great story about local care and being on the road. I'm in Nebraska and doing the show. Overnight, a blue norther blows across the plains of Nebraska, and the hotel heating system comes on. And hotel heating systems are horrible, so dry, too much hot air. Vents pointed right at the bed. I wake up in the morning with a throat that's on fire. 90 minutes with a sore throat. Oh my God. And I do the show. In fact, I actually took a coffee cup filled with water on stage and just worked it in the show. Like the teacher's going to sip a little coffee during the course of the day and sipping the water.
Yeah.
Very rarely did that, but had to. So I finished the show, goes fine, really challenging. So I get home, my voice is still killing me. I've got a couple of days to get well. I called a friend of mine, a singer, who told me once she had a great home remedy for sore throats. And so I called her and I said, so what's the remedy? I really need your help. So what is this? So I swear to God, she gives me this concoction. She's telling me this unbelievable recipe with half a bottle of Tabasco sauce and pepper and milk and whole milk and all this stuff. And then she said, and then you add in 2 raw eggs.
Oh,
And I said, okay, Allison, hold on. You put me on. This is not real. Come on now. She said, no, I swear to God, if you make it just that way, then you just drink it down. You can't hesitate. One gulp, drink the whole thing. I said, Allison, you're out of your mind. I'm not going to do it. She said, no, do that. If you do that, your voice will be healed immediately. I'm like, I swear to God, Allison, if this doesn't work, I'm coming down to Austin to find you. So I thought, well, I can't think about it. If I think about it, I won't do it. And my voice is still killing me. So I went to the refrigerator, I pulled all this stuff out, fixed the concoction, looked at it, thought, this is the most disgusting thing I've ever done in my life. And I grabbed this glass and then I threw it down. And I swear to God, my sore throat was better. I mean, just like healed. It's like Jesus came down and said, heal. And my voice was, I was like, God, this is a miracle. And I think what happened was my body made a deal with me to say, if you never do that to us again, we swear we will never make your voice hurt that bad again.
I will take that deal.
I was like, done. Because I didn't want to drink that again. And that was 40 years ago. I've never had that bad a sore throat again in my life.
It just makes me think of Rocky Balboa, and that's probably how you felt, like just powering through that
Right.
performance.
Just grab the glass, your hand, shake him, just throw it down and heal me. And never have that bad sore throat again.
It's funny, it's very natural. What I found when I used to go out, travel, and perform is it's not like you can take NyQuil or take a bunch of medicine before you go out on stage because it might affect your memory. You might not have the energy you need. It has those other weird side effects. And you told me a crazy story about using medication once to just try to get rid of sinus congestion. Is that what it was?
Oh, man. When you're on the road, you're sitting in airplanes next to people who might have a cold. Same thing in hotel rooms. And then after a show, a bunch of people come up, want you to sign in the program or, talk to you a minute. And so you're just constantly close to people. So I came back from a long tour and had a couple of days, but then I had to take off for DC to go do so I'm a teacher at this conference. And man, I was congested. And, you can't fly if your ears are congested. It's just too much pressure. So my doc sent me to see an ear, nose, and throat guy. And this ear, nose, and throat doc had been a flight surgeon on an aircraft carrier. He had to keep all these pilots in the air. So, I mean, he just, it's like, battlefield medicine. So I said, man, I got to catch a flight to DC. He looks and says, you're really congested. I said, tell me something I don't know. And he said, I'm going to clear you up here. So first, you did the little Hoover vacuum thing in your ears, where they clean your ears out with that little Hoover vacuum. Oh my God! It sounds like there's a vacuum cleaner inside your head. It's maddening, but it clears it out. That was disgusting, but it worked. but they said, right when you get on the plane, take this. And gives me this big orange tablet. It says, take this. By the time you get to DC, you'll be totally cleared up. And I'm like, okay, man. He said, I swear to you, he said, I'm telling you, you'll be cleared up. And this thing looked like a horse pill. This big, it was this huge, biggest pill I ever saw in my life, orange. So just before I board the plane at DFW, I take this thing. And we're flying along, and I'm like, wow, this is working. I'm clear. I'm breathing through my nose, and I'm checking it out, and whoa, this is good. What he didn't tell me was this is a huge tablet of speed. It was like this. It was like this antihistamine that was so powerful that your heart's racing. I mean, you're just like Superman all of a sudden. So I got a 90-minute one-man show, and I did it in 28 minutes. I walked on that stage. I never did a show so fast in my life. I'm not sure I was on stage a full hour.
Oh my God.
I mean, I'm just racing through the show, and I'm wondering, where am I in this show? But I got through it, and they were like, wow, this guy's a really very energetic performer. I wasn't that energetic. This doc had me so jacked up. And I'm not sure what it was, but it'll clear you out. I guarantee that. It will absolutely clear your head up.
You have to be careful, right, of what you do before a show. I've had a conversation recently, just so many people dealing with anxiety lately. And, I have to go out on camera, I have to go out on stage, and they're afraid to try some anti-anxiety medicine. Is that going to make me sleepy? I don't want to pop a Xanax before I go on stage.
Yeah, no.
So much of what I've been working on with them is breathing techniques to try to calm the system, really focusing on intention and what you're trying to do so that you're not focused on yourself.
Mm-hmm.
All kinds of things that are not medical, but then sometimes, people are having to turn to things like beta blockers or herbal things to calm the system. But it is nerve wracking. Like, when is a good time to test it and make sure it's going to work and not mess you up? Like, you have to find a safe time to try it.
Mm-hmm.
Have you ever heard stories or tried anything like that to help you manage nerves? Or I guess you don't. You never got nervous. You just love it.
No, if you don't get nervous, you're doing it wrong. You're supposed to have some energy built up inside.
Doesn't matter enough to you, right? If you're not nervous, right. You don't care enough.
That's right. 2 or 3 things. One is, the late, great John Henry Falk was my mentor and my friend. And John Henry was the guy who broke the blacklist. He was a CBS radio star in the days when radio was about to transition to television. So he was going to be a big TV star, like George Gobel and others way back in the day. So John Henry got fired from CBS because a right-wing organization went after anybody that they thought was either liberal. And Johnny was no communist. He was a liberal, but CBS fired him. They couldn't find work in America for 6 years. This guy was a big star back in the 50s. So Johnny and I years later became great friends. He was my mentor, and Molly Ivan's mentor also. And so John and I did some shows together. We hang out together in the dressing room before the show. And Johnny got into the deepest state of relaxation you can imagine. I'm over here doing all these warm-ups, all this kind of thing that you're taught. And Johnny is sitting in a chair with his arms on his sides and just totally zoning out. It was like a form of seated meditation. Never seen anything like it. And I started doing, especially as I aged, so doing all this stuff, I found a way to get into that zone without moving so much, sitting in a chair, or sometimes lying on the floor of the dressing room. And I did a couple of other things. One is I'd studied Tai Chi for some time, and I've beginning to incorporate yoga and Tai Chi into my warm-up. So instead of going the chemical route, go the breath route into complete relaxation. And when you're doing deep breathing before you go on stage, don't breathe into your lungs. Breathe into the bottom of your back. When you're expanding the cavity, as you breathe into the bottom of your back, when you feel that expand, and you're taking air down there, instead of way up in the top of your lungs, you're breathing through your whole body then. And that's a really calming thing to do. The other one was to begin to do Tai Chi. And you can go online and find all kinds of demonstrations of Tai Chi. But doing that to get that flow of energy, really soft and slow, It's a great way to move energy through your body because the nerves come when energy gets trapped in part of your body. If you pay attention to your body, you'll find where your body traps energy. Whether it's in your hands, on your chest, on your jaw. So find where your energy is trapped and focus on that. Focus on the place that the energy is trapped in your body and find what you need to do, whether it's jaw exercises, tongue stretches, breathing into the base of your spine, gently rocking back and forth. But find the place the energy is trapped in your body and release that energy into your whole body. So every bit of you is fully alive when you walk out there. I think we get into trouble as performers, whether you're on camera or on stage, if the energy becomes trapped in your body. If you do it so that energy is moving to your fingertips, back into your chest cavity, into your voice, into your face, throughout every part of your body. Remember, your blood is circulating through your whole body. Oxygen is passing through your whole body. So use your whole body. I don't care if you're sitting behind a desk reading the prompter. Your whole body is still involved. And you're going to be your best performer when your whole body is involved and the energy is moving through your whole body. Remember, the blood system is half water and half nutrients, red blood cells, white cells, so on. But the water delivers the goods. So don't let that get trapped. Don't build a dam inside yourself. Let the energy flow through every part of you, including animating your face, your eyes, your lungs, your mouth. Take your time to do that before you go out.
If you had to give advice to yourself when you were just starting out on those one-man show tours, was there anything that you wish you had known when you started that by the time you ended your tenure as a one-man show performer that you figured out by that time?
Great question.
Maybe it was rest your voice when you can.
Well, that's a big piece of it. I would think that the things I learned along the way were conserve the energy between shows. When you're off stage, and this happens so many times, and I always wanted to be there for the audience after the show because people would come up to me and, I was doing Down a Long Road in New York in 2003. I always have people come up after the show and just need to talk. So I want to give them what I can while I'm there. But at some point in time, when you get back to your room or on your actor's equity day off on Monday, you have to take care of yourself and be okay with that. And be off. When you're off stage, be really off. It's okay to be silent. It's okay not to go out. It's okay to rest. And give yourself that permission to do that. And give yourself permission just to go home. You don't have to go to the bar next door or go out to meet some people, to take care of yourself. Because over a period of time, it's going to require more and more of you as you age. You can snap back pretty well when you're young, but you've got to respect what your body needs from you in order to do that. I think that ability to respect yourself and what your body needs from you, because when you walk on that stage, you want to give everything you got. And to do that, you have to take care of yourself. There was a period of time where I'd had some serious back injuries. And sometimes that would flare up. And I remember one night, it was here at the MAC in Dallas. I was doing I'm a Teacher, part 3. So I'm in my early 60s by then. Wow, early 60s. Backstage intermission, I took 5 Advil just to make it through Act 2. And if I'd had more, I would have taken more. But I'm out there on stage doing the show as a teacher and also set a good example for his kids. And I'm thinking, am I being a good example to myself right now? If I'm having to take 5 Advil in intermission. So, we talk as actors about bodies as our instruments. And I could have taken better care of my instrument. But I was so devoted to what I was doing. It's part of that thing about the show must go on, and plus my West Texas work ethic. My wife estimates it took me 2 years to regain my health after I finished touring.
Wow.
I was that beat. And I'm going to encourage other folks to take better care of themselves than I did. And I took great care of, like I said, I didn't eat a potato chip for 20 years. Caffeinated drinks, none, 0. So I took really good care of myself because I was a high performance kind of machine, And I took care of it at the same time. And then if you're out there doing the show night after night, catching planes, and you get out in front of an audience and all that goes away. You're just doing the show and having that extreme, remarkable experience where you take the audience by the hand and together you transcend. And there's nothing like that in the world. There's nothing like that. There's a reason we go see live performances. It's because there's no comparison. And the audience has to work. They've got to get a babysitter and eat early or eat late and drive across town and get there on time and get to the theater and get their seats. And for us as performers, it's a lot of work. But man, when you're in the audience connect, there's nothing like it. And I can think of I don't know, maybe a dozen times. Because, you can connect with an audience and do a really good job professionally and know you did a great job and they know you did a great job and they all go and feel like, wow, that was great. I really enjoyed it. Then there was other nights where you do a really good, solid show and they get their money's worth. It's a great experience and everybody goes home satisfied. There are a few nights where you don't have it and you don't know why. You warmed up the same ways you always do everything else, but the rhythm in there that night or something, and you walk off knowing I could have done better. But on those special nights where vocally you're there and the energy's there and you and the audience really connect and you just go off into the heavens somewhere, just into the skies, into the universe, into the cosmos. And you're out there together for a couple of hours and then you come back and you wonder, how did that happen? There's a great story about Laurence Olivier. He's doing Shakespeare in the West End of London. Then that night, he just burned the place down. One ovation after another, goes back to his dressing room, and a friend of his goes back. His friends called him Larry, and Olivier is sobbing in his dressing room. And the friend says, Larry, why are you crying? That's like the greatest show anybody ever saw in their lives. He said, I know, but how did I do it? Man, those nights.
Yeah, you hit that state of flow for an
Man.
artist.
Yeah.
Marquis.
Yep.
Nothing like it.
Nothing like it. Nothing like it. Which keeps you out on the road for years and doing the show with a fever and back pain, but there's nothing else like it. I'm glad I did it. I know I can't do it that way anymore. I still perform. I'm not sure I'd even try to do it anymore. About 10 years ago, I'm a teacher at Part 3, and my director from another show came to see me. And when she came backstage afterwards, I just saw in her eyes. She knew and I knew. It's a good show, but it wasn't what I could do 10 years before. You come to a point in time, it's like a baseball player. You have to admit that I can't hit that fastball anymore. And that's okay. I can still do a great reading of one of my books, but trying to do a 90-minute one-man show from memory, I probably could, but I'm not sure I even want to try. It's not where I am anymore in my life.
You use your voice in a different way now.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I do. Whether it's doing videos or do readings, yeah, I'm using it in a different way. And that director that I told you about, she had the funniest line. She said, you have a whiskey and cigarettes voice, but you don't smoke and you don't drink. Which I thought was really funny.
All the sound, none of the pleasure.
Yeah.
I would love to continue this conversation maybe on a different day because I know we went over time for you, but that idea of like, what do you do when you can't do what you do anymore? And what you just said reminded me of, Julie Andrews. How did she find a new voice after damage from surgery?
Yeah.
How do you find something you're still just as passionate about when you can't do what you've always done?
Yeah.
And a conversation, we could continue is this idea of how voice is so tied up in identity. And when your voice is changed or your voice doesn't do what it used to do, how do you manage the emotion? How do you still hold on to yourself?
Yeah.
That's something to think about maybe for our next conversation, if you're okay with that.
Yeah. I think that's a great topic because, the story, you saved me, and my voice, I felt my voice was gone. And it was deeply traumatic for me. And I think that's the story we're telling, bringing my voice back and what it meant to me and what it's then meant to audiences I can still communicate with. And so Yeah, I think we ought to do another one. I'm happy to do this.
Thank you so much for your time. I'm sorry for all the technical
Yeah,
snafus, but man, I could listen to you tell your stories all.
thanks. I really appreciate that. And let's do it again. And however many days you want to do. I mean, it's meaningful to me and reminds me of the impact I've had, and it's worth doing. And that looking back on those days, well, I wouldn't trade for it. When somebody walks up to you and they say, I saw you go, I'm a teacher, they tell me the location, and I can remember the date, and to know that you touched somebody's life deeply in that way, that's deeply meaningful. And now I'm doing it through books and writing. Now my hand hurts. My voice is better, you know?
Thank you so much. And thanks for your time and the gift of it. You've given so much time to me lately, and I'm so grateful.
It's worth it. Take care. See you. Thanks.
Bye-bye.
Thanks so much for joining me on Speaking of Talking. If you loved this episode, I'd be so grateful if you'd leave a review, share it with a friend, or send it to someone who geeks out on voice just as much as we do. For more tips, tools, and behind-the-scenes goodies, head to the show notes or visit us at jennysteck.com. I'm Jenni Steck. And remember, your voice isn't just how you sound, it's how you show up. Own it, trust it. And let's keep talking, because we've got a lot to say.